Welcome to LegacyCast, your source for hearing from top influencers, industry experts, and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is LegacyCast. Welcome, LegacyCast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, coming to you from North Texas. And I have with me friend of mine, Matt Sapula, and Marine Corps veteran, which is an exciting thing. I always love having Marines on the program. Any veteran, of course, is a good one, but Marines, they like to make a big hole for us Army guys to go into. So we love us in our heads. So welcome to the program, Matt.
Yeah, glad to be here and honored to be here.
So when we were talking offline before Matt came on the program, he was just telling me a little bit about a convention that he has coming up at the beginning of 2019. So if you can just maybe give us a little info about that, Matt, the convention going on in San Antonio, I think you said.
Sure thing, James. Yes, we believe that there's a war on capitalism, there's a war on entrepreneurship, and the theme of our event in January, for those who are considering the business world, those considering working for themselves, as I have the last 20 years, we have an event called the Free Enterprise War, where myself, my business partners, many other colleagues from across the country who have built, multiple businesses across the United States are gathering together in San Antonio at the Marriott Riverwalk. And we got some phenomenal guest speakers lined up. I've got it's not official yet, but we've got a gentleman. He's a Navy SEAL, and he's releasing a book. And we're in the current negotiations right now, but we're going to have that type of effect over a 3-day period in San Antonio coming up in January. So I'm very excited about that. We just signed a $250,000 contract with a hotel, and we're just excited about the value we're bringing to the marketplace.
That's exciting. I remember that hotel there when I was stationed down in San Antonio. When I was back in my combat medic training days, I was stationed down there at Fort Sam Houston, and we spent a lot of time down at the Riverwalk. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Nice setting for you to be having that thing. So perfect.
That's awesome.
So here on the program LegacyCast, obviously, we finance guys, we kind of have a certain mindset when it comes to legacy. But when you hear that term legacy, what comes to mind for you first of all?
So I think legacy, your last name. What does your last name mean? What is your handprint on the world? What is your, what was your drop in the bucket ripple effect that's going to affect not only your current life, but those that you love and care about, and the second, third, fourth, fifth generation away from you? Did you leave the world better when you left it than when you first entered it? So I think legacy is a responsibility. I think legacy is something that we should constantly be thinking about. Not to say that your life is ever going to be perfect, but it's also the sharing of family wisdom, that everybody has a different experience, and depositing those experiences and the lessons learned from those can help better serve that the community that you're part of, whether it be your blood DNA family or the people that believe in you type of family.
Yeah, well, very well put. I always like to tell people, it's kind of like your story. It's your story being told your way about all the things that you were passionate about, that you did to make the world better. And, that story being told, like you say, 3 to 7 generations. I like to look at, I try to look at a 7-generation span there, because that's the kind of impact that we should be trying to put out there.
Yeah, and the powerful thing, like for example, this podcast, once you publish it and you put it out there to the world, who knows who's going to run into it 50 years from now? It could be your children. It could be my children, children's children. And so we're actually speaking out to that legacy, you know, and let's see what our legacy thinks about it, you know, 50, 60, 100 years from now when they stumble across it online.
That's true. And people should be very mindful, you know, about what they're doing and deliberate, I think. So do you feel like people should really put some deliberate and intentional action into or thought into what they're doing for a legacy?
For me, I think so, but I think early on in our lives, I think we don't think about it. I think we're caught so much in the survival phase of life where you don't think legacy. So make short answer, yeah, 100%. I believe that everybody should be thinking about legacy. You know, I mean, I'm in the finance. We're in the finance world. I'm in the insurance industry. It's all about planning for worst case scenarios so we can pass on at least a financial inheritance to the people that you love and care about, that they're provided for. And so 100%. And I think when people don't plan on legacy, so it's either you're going to pass on a blessing or you're going to pass on grief.
Right.
And I think sadly, a lot of people pass on grief, and one generation away, 2 generations away, people forget about you because you did nothing to impact. I mean, you know, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, I don't know them. Our family comes from the Philippines. I couldn't tell you. I can barely tell you my grandfather's name. And I definitely can't tell you my great-great-grandfather's name. Not that they weren't good people. Not that they weren't hardworking folks from the Philippines that worked to make a living for the family in the 1800s, 1900s. But for some reason, their great-grandson doesn't know them. I think that's a problem.
Yeah. And not just, you know, not just on the financial level, but, you know, even the things we do, you know, in society, in our communities, educational legacies that we pass along, you know, those things are important as well, because, you know, the stories will be told about the things that we did, the changes that we made, and the lives that we affected for the positive. So, you know, all of those things, you know, culminate, you know, into, you know, that big story. Yeah,
I totally agree 100%. You know, we sometimes, especially with dealing with money, we learn more from our bad experiences with money than our good. So how come we don't pass those experiences on? And that's just as good as passing on cash.
That's true. So when you're looking at legacy, how does that affect what you do in business?
Well, it does everything, you know, with what we do in business. Well, number one, I deal in a legacy type of industry. And then number two, from a business planning standpoint, talking to entrepreneurs, you know, what is your succession plan? How do you hand down? You know, well, when you ride this pony, you have an exit strategy. Right? Who's going to be taking over your business, or does your business die with you? Does your legacy die with you, or do you have somebody carrying on that torch? And so, you know, we're very thoughtful of it. I mean, you know, we're 3 weeks away from getting together with my mentor to go over my business plan for 2019. You know, I mean, business plan. Well, yeah, business plan, because I have a plan for what's going to happen in 2019, because that has a ripple effect and goes on in 2020, 2030, and sometimes people don't even think, you know, 10 years ahead. I remember sometime I was still in the Marine Corps. So, what is your life going to look like 5 years from now? I said, I can barely get past today, right, let alone what's going to happen 5 years ago. But I think if people think more legacy and they think of what their life is going to look like, I just asked a business partner of mine today, what do you want? He goes, I don't know. Well, if you don't know what you want, or you don't know what your legacy wants, or what your legacy should look like, guess what's going to happen? Nothing. Right? And then you check out, and your name goes away like dust. And for some people, that's important. For some people, that's not. I think it's important. You think it's important, but you know, I think a lot of us are driven by, like, unconsciously, the fact that we want to be respected, that we want to be known. But unless you do something about it, that's not going to happen.
That's true. That's true. And that leads me towards one of my next questions is as far as the business plans and the financial plans. You know, a lot lot of people, and unfortunately I've seen it with our veteran communities, is a lot of people starting a business and they don't have that framework. They don't have the business plan and the financial plan put into place. How would you answer that situation?
It's how can we take the best of what we learned in the military, extract it, and apply that to our regular civilian world. And for some guys, they've left the structure behind. There's a reason why we follow an SOP,
right?
A standard operating procedure that any 18-year-old can hold this weapon, can read this order, can delegate the order, can make sure the orders carried through and supervise and all that stuff. How come we don't apply that to our regular life when we get out the military? So I think a lot of that can be transferred over. It's just that we don't have the community when we leave, because when we're in the military, you got your brothers, you got your unit, and if you didn't remember, somebody around you is going to help remind you. Well, when you leave the military, you lose that support network, you lose that camaraderie, you lose that brotherhood and the ladies of sisterhood of being part of something bigger than you. And I'm thankful of podcasts like yours that is creating that community that people can get back together, and at least there's a voice.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I totally agree that that was especially part of my transition struggle was just not having that community, and that's very similar for a lot of the veterans that when they came back home is just not having that. And so I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, I've been out. I've been out now, 10+ years. I am just now connecting to the veteran community. It's been the last couple of years I've been connected back to the veteran. I wish I had, when I was coming out active duty, there was never a direct resource, a community of brothers and sisters in the military that wore the uniform that said, okay, here's what to expect. Here's some opportunities. Here's what you need to avoid. Here's where you need to get your shit together. Like, I didn't have that. I had to figure out and fall on my face and realize that when you get out, nobody gives a shit. Which is too bad. Nobody cares if you're a sergeant. Nobody cares if you're a lieutenant. Nobody cares if you're a major. You might, if you don't care enough about you, you're driving Lyft for a living. You know what I mean? That's your transition plan, in the car by yourself, driving other people. But if you want legacy, something that you need to connect yourself into in terms of a community.
Yeah, spot on. So as a CEO and an entrepreneur, what would be are there a few things that still keep you up at night when you're with your business?
Yeah, the biggest thing that kept me up at night is customers. When I first got out the Marine Corps, I got involved in the insurance industry. I was like, shit, who do I sell to? Right? I was 25 years old, 26 years old. I had nobody to sell to. I had nobody to help me with sales. I was learning this craft all by myself. So that's definitely what kept me up at night. So learning marketing, learning business development, learning my craft outside of just being an insurance agent / financial advisor. Right? I had to learn all aspects of this. Like, there's no such thing as a job description as an entrepreneur. Everything is your job description. Yeah. Everything's your responsibility. And so until I found a way on how to sell, I found a way to handle and deal with rejection, and how to handle infrastructure and creating infrastructure within inside my business, I was constantly in a position of frustration. But thank God for learning those things, and I was aware that I needed some guidance. Once I figured that stuff out, but I think it took me like 5, 6, 7 years to get my head out of my ass.
Yeah, I can certainly relate with that personally as well. So what do you think maybe are some of the reasons why entrepreneurs are failing in their endeavor of starting a business or just giving up in general?
I think a lot of it has to do with ego especially, you're a non-commissioned officer, or you're in charge of a fire team, or you're a platoon commander, or I literally had a colonel who I was doing a recruiting interview with. And, this guy was in charge of a lot of things. And he was in charge of the theater of Afghanistan, and when he walked in, attention on deck, people saluted.
Mm-hmm.
These days, he's out, retired. There's no attention on deck. There's no salute. There's no yes sir, no sir. There's no hi colonel. There's no acknowledgement. I'm doing an interview. Okay. And so when I'm talking about having a conversation with people about their rank, listen, when you get out, you've got to earn your stripes all over again.
Yeah.
I think the unique thing for me is that as a sergeant with no college education, just been grinding in the insurance business for the last 20 years, is that I've learned to earn respect, and I'm not expecting a salute, right? People say I'm a leader. I let people call me a leader. I know just to lead by example. But at the end of the day, that same colonel said, the reason why I can't do what you do, this is what he told me, James. He goes, I've never admitted this to a Marine. 25 years as a colonel, I've never admitted this to any Marine. But listen, doing what you do as a business, as an entrepreneur, I'm scared. Scared. Listen, you're used to, bombs, bullets, and bad guys. Scared of what? Scared of people telling me no. So by the way, that's all ego. That's all ego. And for someone to say, I need to humble myself to start from, and by the way, what is he doing today, James? He's driving Uber. He's driving Lyft. Come on, man. You deserve better than that, because you're afraid of a little bit of rejection, and you're growing individually as a person long after. I mean, what would you say to a Marine? What would you say to a soldier who's given up on an obstacle course? That's what you're doing right now mentally. You're giving up on a mental obstacle course of you growing as an individual. And listen, as much as we sucked it up in the military, you need to suck it up again in your transition out the military, because nobody's going to hand you anything. You got to go out there and fight for it. Mm-hmm. And so dealing with that's the worst I deal with in the business world. No, I'll think about it. I need to pass this across my lawyer, my advisory team, my investor. Geez, wow, that's the worst I got to deal with in the business world. Yeah. Versus worrying about IEDs and bullets flying my way and watching your back every night. Mm-hmm. Every day. So I got to deal with this in the business world than dealing with that context any day of the week. And at least here we get paid for it.
Yeah. So what would be some specific roadblocks that you would advise a new business person to be looking out for, and then also some resources that they should be tapping into to help them succeed?
Yeah. Well, we'll start with an easy resource. An easy resource that any transitioning active duty military service member, military family can access. There's just tons of Facebook groups in the marketplace today. Tons of them. Tons of them. Yeah, I mean, you can't. If you just Google veterans group, there's going to be a ton of them. But I also would avoid the people on the veterans group that all they're talking about is pain, all they're talking about is worry, all they're talking about is anxiety. So you got to be careful too when you're inside this group. But there's community. You can go out there. I personally, for me, if I want to grow, if I want to think about legacy, if I want to get to the next level of my life, I want to surround myself with people that are like-minded in the same things too as well. Mm-hmm. So number one, getting connected to the right groups online and offline. Number two, being careful and being particular about the conversations I'm having with people. And then number three, having certain people to be as my accountability partner. That you still need a battle buddy. Still need a battle buddy. Another great resource that it's growing up in a lot of cities and states, which is actually headquartered here in Chicago, is Bunker Labs.
Yep. The bunker's a good one.
Bunker Labs has many different chapters across many different cities and states where people can plug into and to associate with other entrepreneurs wanting to incubate and grow as a business person.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one that I like a lot, and I've done some volunteering with them, is Veterati, helping the veterans when they're coming out and just getting the plug in. That's another good app and good resource there for people. So Matt, how would you say that you take your personal values and your belief systems and incorporate that into your business life?
Yeah. I think it's just a simple matter of just jotting down what you love the most about life, what you want to love the most about your life. And for me, I love the camaraderie of the military. I love the esprit de corps. I didn't miss the politics. I love the fact that you can take average and ordinary people to do extraordinary things. I love sports. I love a lot of aspects of my faith life, my relationship with a higher power. I love the fact that I love to earn a lot of money so I can have the best of the freedom that we fought for, to enjoy these things coast to coast, locally, regionally, internationally, nationally. I love the fact of helping people. So I think it's just writing down a bunch of things and then creating that as your company culture. Our company culture, everybody brings their own personality to the table. We do have structure. We do have a bottom line. We do have a team goal. We do have a company goal. We got many people rising up amongst the ranks, whether they be my own little business fire team leader, my business squad leader, my business platoon commanders, et cetera, et cetera. So the reason why I do that, and the reason why we've grown the way we've grown and surrounded ourselves with things that we love to do, is because I don't want to dread coming to the office. I want to get up in the morning, grab a breakfast, morning newspaper, and be fired up heading to the office, instead of saying, "Oh, I don't want to be in an environment I don't want to be in." In fact, James, there's an IBM consultant that came to our office. They're doing some consulting out there, doing surveys to build our team. So he took some surveys of how I act, my behavior at home. Another survey, my behavior at the office. Boom, my behavior in recreational activities. And he says, Matt, he comes back with the results of the survey. He says, Matt, I got to ask you something. I've been an IBM consultant for a long time, 20 years now. You love what you do, don't you? I said, why do you say that? It's because based on these surveys, you are the same. And by the way, I've very rarely ever seen this in my entire 20 years of doing this. But you are the same person at home. You're the same person in recreational activities. You're the same person in the office. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so what does that mean? I said, brother, you got no stress. You've got pressure because you got goals, but you don't have any stress because you don't have to change. So I think creating a company, now, does that mean you have to grow individually and personally develop as a person? Of course. But it's like I have to be a different person at home. I don't have to be a different person at the office. I don't have to be a different person in the boardroom. I don't have to be a different person here on social media. I don't have to be a different person at church. I don't have to be a different person in my leisure activities at the cigar lounge, or having fun with my wife at the salsa spots. I'm the same person, and what a relief that is.
It is. Yeah, totally agree there. So is there something earlier in life that you wish you had done that you did not do, that maybe you kind of look back and say, I wish I'd have done that?
Yeah, lots of them. I think that the one that sticks out to my head is make sure you pick the right wife.
Yeah.
And military guys are horrible at this aspect of the life, because all they think about, worried about is getting laid, right? And guess what, brother? Sex is a small part of a long-term marriage. My opinion. I could be wrong about this, but getting involved in the wrong relationship, because I'm not using my brain housing group here. And I was 21, 22 years old when I got married, and then I was 22, 23 when I got divorced. Stupid. All because I did not know how to define what a relationship is and what a relationship should look like. And if you get caught up in the wrong relationship, guys, if you're listening to this podcast right now, it could set you back 10 years. It did to me. I spent my 30s repaying the mistakes of my 20s. Imagine if I didn't make those mistakes in my 20s, how much further I could be in my 30s and 40s, and how much pain and anguish and suffering and financial setbacks and arguments and anxiety and depression could be avoided by making sure you pick the right relationship. So, guys, a relationship is more than sex. And by the way, James, I still run across a bunch of guys that are 50, 60 years old, figuring that out right now too as well. Because they went through 30 years of their life trying to be somebody different, and they get next thing you know, they're 50, 60 years old. The husband looks at the wife, wife looks at the husband, and you know what they say? Who are you? You're not the same person I met 30 years ago. They get divorced. Your family is out of whack. Finances are out of whack. And financially speaking, you know, the 50-year-old, 60-year-old guys looks like he's 20-year-olds on paper.
Yep.
Setback. So, you know, so pick the right relationship. Listen, the only good thing that came out of those was my children. Right? And thank God Daddy decided to be an entrepreneur, and thank God Daddy decided to live in decent neighborhoods because he became an entrepreneur, that I was able to replace, you know, the financial income of a dual household income, and I was able to do a lot of things as a single father. I'm married now, and I'm married to the right wife. My mentor took that on his second date with his now wife, and there's a lot of questions there that you need to ask somebody, because you want to ask the tough questions now, man. You don't want to find a 5 years into marriage because you're too afraid to ask a question. How do you feel about this, and how do you feel about that? And next thing you know, you don't agree with them. But guess what? You're stuck now.
Yep. So when you're transitioning out of the service, what different hurdles did you have to go with to overcome, and how did you overcome that?
So for me, I still default back to number one, which is learning how to grow as an entrepreneur by gaining customers. You know, so oftentimes people worry about the website, they worry about the brochure, they worry about so many other things. Listen, at the end of the day, you need clients. You need people to buy from you. Product, a service that you need a bunch of customers. So I struggled with that for a minute. It took me about 4 years to figure out how to replace my military paycheck. But then again, in 2000, so it took me 2 years to figure out, 2001, to figure out how to work for myself. So it took me 2 full years to do that. And then by my 5th year, I started making $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, and never looked back. But that was initially what I struggled with, is how to obtain customers, how to keep customers, how to not spend too much in radio. And by the way, this is back then. You don't have to do this today, but back then it was radio, TV, direct mail, newspaper ads, magazine articles. Today, you can get a lot away with podcasts and Facebook live videos and Instagram videos and Instagram posts, Facebook posts. You literally you're literally a marketing machine with your cell phone, right? And so the second aspect to that is gaining customers. That's the sales aspect. The second part about that is the marketing aspect, right? How do I market myself? How do I become the person that people want to talk about, and top of mind awareness when it comes to this problem in my sector, that when people have this problem. The other aspect of that I had struggled with was infrastructure. Okay, now I've created a business, now I need to hire the right people to answer the phones, to be customer service, to be my accountant, to keep our books clean legally and with the IRS. Also infrastructure, and I needed to learn how to be a boss, how to hire and fire. You know, sometimes you hire somebody because you got nobody else to do it. You hire and they get the wrong person in the position because you're too lazy to get to more job applicants to interview at your company. I've learned today if I want to hire for a position, I hire 2 at a time. Have them compete And ideally, I keep both. But oftentimes, one doesn't like competition. I need a competitive team. So one decides to bow out the competition, and the one that's competing and has a quality work and the standard I'm looking for, they keep the job. So, those things: sales, marketing, and infrastructure. I had very difficult times, but thank God we've got that squared away.
Good deal. So was that something that was obvious to you, or did you kind of stumble upon that particular process?
I stumbled across it because I kept hitting the lid. How come I can't make more money than this? How come I can't see more customers? I just kept hitting this lid. What's going to lift this lid? Infrastructure, scalability. Oh, I shouldn't be doing all the busy work, right? I shouldn't be sitting on hold for 15 minutes with an insurance carrier trying to get an update on a policy, right? I should hire an assistant to do that because I don't get paid for those type of things. I get paid to find customers. I get paid to grow my business. I get paid to brand, not being on hold, on dead time with on hold music until I get an underwriter on the phone. So yeah.
Yep. So when you decided to go in this particular direction, did you have an aha moment, a light bulb moment that told you that you should go in this direction?
In terms of the insurance industry or entrepreneurship?
Right. Yes.
I wish I could say there was an aha moment, but no. It was a moment to me. It's like, all right, Sapula, the career planner says, okay, Sapula, you're due up for reenlistment. Okay, you want to stay in or you want to get out? Well, I became a single father with custody of my son, so I had to get out. I couldn't be a deployable Marine, and I wasn't going to settle into some back in the base admin job. So I was a door gunner on a helicopter. I was a helicopter mechanic ground, door gunner in the air. I was always deployed. Forward operating bases or on ships, and somebody said, "Hey, how would you like to have an alternative to being in the military?" And so it was a retired master sergeant that recruited me. Stumbled across in a Best Buy, and so I got to know him. It was this California. Got to know him. He told me about the insurance industry. I didn't really understand the insurance industry. All I knew is it would replace my full-time income.
Yeah.
So that was my aha moment. Just a logical decision.
So is there another profession out there that, if you were not doing this, that you would want to delve into?
If money wasn't an object of the game of football, I love the game of football. I love coaching. Love coaching young men. I love coaching kids. I'd either be a high school coach or a college coach. I love the recruitment process. I love inspiring new young men to get to the next level. And I think the game of football helps express that. The other profession I would consider doing is being a chef. I love cooking a plate of, I love cooking a plate of food. I love I love being able to run a kitchen. When I see Gordon Ramsay do his thing in not necessarily in Hell's Kitchen, but when he's going in there fixing businesses and fixing restaurants, improving the menus and turning around struggling restaurants, and being a chef at doing that, I would consider doing that too as well. Chef or a coach.
Oh, interesting choices. Well, what would you say is your greatest character strength?
Thank you. I get through shit when everybody's quitting or everybody's failing. Right? Because what I realize in sticking to your guns, not in a stubborn way, I think it's more of a gut. Like, I know I'm onto something. Like, if all my gauges are pointing me in the right direction, but I don't see results yet, right? A lot of people get impatient with that because they want results now, results now, results now. And I've seen so many people quit in 20 years of me being an entrepreneur, and they're no better today because quitting is a habit. So I think with me just sticking through it, and boom, there's an explosion in business. And then the next level, okay, stick through it. It's not happening, but stick through it. And then boom, something else happens. That's just been my experience the last 20 years of being an entrepreneur, and of course having a great wife that supports me in what I do and is partnered up with what I do. That would be it. That'd be the characteristics: just the perseverance and the get knocked down and keep getting back up.
Yep. On the flip side of that, what would you say the greatest weakness would be then?
My greatest weakness. So what would be my greatest weakness? My greatest weakness is I don't like structure. I don't like being told. I don't like being somebody going like this all the time. Hey. Yeah. But then again, we need to hit deadlines, right? Then again, you can't live all the time in the grays. You got to have some black and white, right? And so sometimes I don't like being. I think sometimes I don't like being told. Sometimes the haters. Sometimes the haters are right, and sometimes I don't want to listen to them. And I should, right? And how do I shore that up? I've got a great mentor and I got a great wife, right? Because I bounce off those things that I don't like off them too, and they tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear, and I'm able to make the course correction. So I think without them, I get swallowed up in my own weaknesses.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So is there a particular place that you go to get your ideas for brainstorming?
Is there a particular area that I go to where?
To brainstorm or get ideas? Maybe go on walks or...
Smoke cigars, baby. I smoke a lot of cigars. Yep, smoke cigars. I picked that habit from the Marine Corps. But I go to the cigar lounge. I listen to classical music when I want to think, when I want the brain to flow. I got headphones that I put on, smoke a cigar, I get in a creative mode, and then I put myself back in a state of what would my basic customer want? What is a basic person? What type of training? So I put myself back in that state because sometimes you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. And for me, listening to classical music, the reason why classical music is because there's no lyrics there's no hook. Like you get lost in a song, right? You get lost in a cadence. Classical music, I don't get lost in any of that. I just lets my brain flow. But that'll be it.
Yeah.
That's my brain flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're to describe for someone wanting to get into business and describing what your day looks like from a very high level, how would you describe that?
From a high level, I'm sitting here. The worst conversation, the worst part of my day is having to find a charger to plug into my cell phone because you're constantly having a lot of fruitful conversations throughout the day. You got your systems conversation, you got your business development conversations, you got the creative conversations, you got the mentoring, leadership development conversations. So I am constantly in conversations all day, every day, helping people get to the next level as an entrepreneur. And my specialty, obviously, is the insurance industry. And that's a very rewarding thing because I don't have to worry about inventory. I don't have to worry about bad tenants. Because we live in a world where we're not dealing with people's money as a result to risk on our type of business. I invested less than $400, $500 to get my business started. Made millions and millions and millions of dollars ever since. So I have a national reach. I got offices in New England, Atlanta, the Carolinas, Florida, Memphis, Atlanta, Texas, Missouri, Minnesota, Wisconsin, California, Northern, Southern, Seattle. We're in the multiple markets. We're in veterans. We're helping veterans. We're helping former professional athletes. We're helping people in church ministries. So there's different pockets of people that I'm constantly in. And so if you like being challenged every day, you like learning from other people's experiences, and you don't like having a routine, this is a great industry to be a part of. And you like to be handsomely rewarded and appreciated for what you do. Wow, what a great industry to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. So in winding out our time this afternoon, Matt, I have a final or next to last question is, tell me something about you that most people don't know.
People that I don't know. Most people don't know I play the piano. And most people don't know that in the deepest, darkest moments when I was on the military base or on board a Navy ship, I went down to the ship's chapel and I found the keyboard.
Yeah.
And I just learned how to play the piano. I just learned how to get away in music. A lot of people don't know I know how to play music. A lot of people don't know that I'm Filipino. Because when I stand up, I'm 6'4", and people don't realize 6'3", 6'4". People don't realize that Filipinos can grow this tall. All right. A lot of people don't know that I'm normally a quiet person. Right. When I want to have my day off, there's nothing more rewarding to me than being home. Right. I just love being able to stay home, wrestle with the kids, cook for the kids, clean up after the kids, talk to the kids, play video games with the kids. I just like being home. I'm a homebody. Yeah, so don't let the Instagram pictures and Facebook pictures fool you. Traveling across the world and all that. Listen, at the end of the day, both my wife and I love to be at home.
That's good stuff, man. So for our last question, our special Marine Corps question for you, bro. If you were to be a new color crayon, what color would that be, and how would you describe it?
Of course, it'd be green. Of course, my color would be green. Green, of course, is Marine Corps colors. Green is money. Green represents growth. Green represents new creations. If you want a new creation of yourself, this Marine would color in green. Or would write in green, would fill in the blanks with green. Yep. And by the way, I don't care what color of your skin is, right? White, black, brown, yellow, red, purple, don't matter. The only color I care about in this world of business is if you care enough about the color green.
Yep.
So that would be my color. That'd be my crayon.
Good stuff, man. Well, Matt, I appreciate
you asking.
Appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule here and to be with the guests and to be with us on the program, and just to get to know you a little bit and be able to dig into your world and the things that that you're passionate about, and what you're doing to make a difference and to create your legacy. For people to
I appreciate it, man.
For people to get a hold of you, what would be some good contact techniques?
Easy contact is Money Smart Guy all over social media. Money Smart Guy Instagram, Money Smart Guy LinkedIn, Money Smart Guy YouTube, Money Smart Guy Facebook, moneysmartguy.com. Reach out on those aspects. Let's communicate, say what's up. And I just want to give a shout out to you too. Very insightful questions. I've done a lot of interviews. Those are some of the questions I've never been asked before. And appreciate you for what you're doing for our community, man. And how you putting messages out there and having people connect with your show.
Well, I appreciate you, bud. And like I tell all of my guests here, I'll see you around the bend, my friend.
100%. Appreciate it, man. Semper Fi.
You've been listening to Legacy Cast. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to come back next time as we speak with more top influencers, industry experts, and business owners from around the world.